ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Oscar.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Miller Lite with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
Well, as far as training camp practices go, Tom and I and the rest of the Bears media and fans who attended, it was a hard-hitting practice, one of the best I've seen in a very, very long time. That will kick off the podcast today, episode 158 of the Bears Etc. podcast, brought to you by Miller Lite with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. We also visited in this week's podcast with one of Tom's famous friends, his grade school and high school buddy, and nationally acclaimed sports broadcaster Terry Gannon. But first, Tommy, we break down what was by all accounts a benchmark practice for the Chicago Bears, a tone setter for what the Bears want to be under head coach Ben Johnson. I can't put it any simpler than that. Would you concur?
Oh, 100%. You know, you think about you listening back to the Ben at the podium, and one of his initial visits to the podium when he got hired is, I want the players to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's exactly what we saw at the last padded practice. Because when you take this into account, that the Family Fest, the Soldier Field, they ran 95 plays. That's more than a game on average for the most part. So then they have a little time to recover. Then he brings them back to another padded practice. They run 75 plays. So you're thinking about the callousness that we've always hoped and wished that would be developed during training camp. It's happening. I liken the fact that the practices are very antagonistic, whether it's a big play by the offense and they kind of get the defense's blood boiling, or vice versa. So I'm telling you, man, I don't want to get out over my skis, as they say, but I'm really enjoying what this coaching staff is bringing to this team on an everyday basis.
Yeah, honestly, it was a treat. I texted you that this practice was a treat for me. And, you know, no better way to set your jaw a little bit than short yardage and goal line, full contact. And that's how it really got going. That's where the intensity started and developed. And you knew right then, you know, Nahshon Wright said, hey, they didn't have this all scripted in the practice. They thought they were going to have one period of live, and it right. Just took on a life of its own, Tom.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And one thing about live goal line, live short yardage, so the collisions aren't coming from a significant distance where you can really risk injury. The collisions and the power and the movement and the formations are in close quarters, because then you start getting strength on display. You start seeing the development of great combination blocks by the offensive line, including the tight ends. And then you see about what defenders can disengage with immediacy and get in the path of the play and make the play.
You know, the defense has been playing with a lot of intensity over the course of camp under Dennis Allen, but a tip of the cap to the offense, because they matched the intensity in that practice. How significant of a development is that?
Oh, listen, man, this is a football team that's run by an offensive-minded head coach. That's his pride and joy. That's his newborn baby. And every single day, it's growing up and getting a little older. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing that recognition of a baby that realizes that you're his mom and dad.
Oh my
it's
God.
that type of kind of analogy of developing this offense. And Ben is just doing a fantastic job. All the coaches are doing a fantastic job of requiring their players to fulfill their obligations.
It was so euphoric for a football guy like myself, and I love the passion of the game, and I like the idea of this being a violent, physical football team within the rules and framework, of course, that you kind of lose sight of the past. And, you know, being here for a long time, I know there have been some tough practices. I know there have been some live drills. I know I've seen it, and you lived it, obviously, with Ditka, and with my eyes, I watched it. But I just can't remember one being like this on the heels of what was at Soldier Field for FanFest. And so I was euphoric about it. But in the big picture, what does it all mean?
Well, if Ben Johnson not only scripting the practice, could also script the weather conditions that's needed in order to judge a lot of these players. First 2 days of pads, unbearably hot. Then they have a day off and they come back for another day of pads, super comfortable temperature. Soldier Field for Family Fest, a perfect Sunday to get acclimated to what Soldier Field is going to offer you for noon starts. Then you have a little bit time to recover and another perfect conditions for a full padded, really exhaustive practice. So, it is perfectly scripted, but listen, pay attention to your weather charts because Miami wanted to come north for these practices to have a little bit of a cool down. It's not going to be a cool down. It is going to be in the high 80s and low 90s for these Dolphin practices. So you better get acclimated ASAP.
Kick off your game day with Blue Moon. Every sip of Blue Moon's Belgian-style wheat ale crafted with Valencia orange peel and coriander is a winning drive for your taste buds. Welcome to the Bears Etc. podcast. Okay, I asked you to take some notations. Anything stick out of significance? I thought that, one, Roschon Johnson ran hard at the goal line, and he was delivering some shots while taking some as well in the midst of some of the scuffles that occurred, and I like seeing that hard nose when given the opportunity in short yardage.
Well, again, referencing Ben Johnson, the dirty yards. And the dirty yards are those yards that the hole isn't significant, but as a running back, you got to use your power, athleticism, and willingness to lower your shoulder pads in order to create contact. And after you create that contact, you're able to move in a positive direction. And yeah, I did see that out of Roschon. The guy that's really exciting me is Jaquan Brisker.
Oh, yeah.
Because you always use the word deployable, and we think about that in terms of Kyler Gordon. But Jaquan Brisker is showing he's equally as deployable as anybody else in the defensive backfield. And so I'm super excited about what I see out of him. A guy that you've been bringing up, Major Burns.
Oh, wow, yeah. He was lit up yesterday. He was fiery.
And he's coming from distance and he's not hesitating. So he's going to get into a full speed and he's going to bring it until he gets to his responsibility. I like that. Another guy that I can't say enough about is the veteran leadership of Grady Jarrett. Because as an offensive lineman, the thing that makes me so insecure about any defensive lineman I play against as after the contact is their ability to disengage and stay in a real athletic position. If you look at Grady Jarrett, whether it's a double team or a single block, he's able to take on that blocker or blockers, disengage, and get in position to make the play. And you think of the other guys that are benefiting from that, whether it's a linebacker or a fellow defensive lineman, Grady Jarrett is legit, man, and he can really advance this defensive lineman to move forward to see where we need it to go. And so, and guys like Dominique Robinson, excited to see him. Luke Newman, I'm excited to see what he's doing. TJ Edwards, listen, man,
Mr. Reliable,
this guy's nothing but a linebacker that's in Chicago Bear history that we can all be proud of.
How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling him you're a Bears fan? With the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa Debit Card, which gets you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCard. I thought that Caleb throw to Roma Dunze, that was for a touchdown. Rome put it in the end. That was a nice play offensively. So one of those explosives. It's a 40-yarder. Ben's chasing, and you've been looking for.
Exactly. And I don't want to discount the offense because I can see that trickle up effect where they're starting to get timing. They're starting to understand the benefits of play action passing. They're starting to understand that if they can come off the ball aggressively and make it look like a run play, they can get those defenders enough out of position where they can make that big play to Rome, big play to DJ, big play to any of the tight ends or the running back group. So listen, I know that I've been preaching patience because I know the difficulty in having a full group of guys master the timing and terminology, but it's coming.
All right, let's listen to Tyreek Stevenson. He took the podium on Tuesday to reflect on what was a very physical practice.
That's what we should practice like every day. That's the message the team shot to us, the coaching staff and everybody. That's what we need to see out there every day to be a championship defense and a championship offense. So moving forward, that's what we want to see at practice.
What was Ben's message at the end when you guys all circled up?
We working. We putting money in the bank every day. This league don't know what's coming for him because we put in daily deposits every day. He kept it short and simple because that's what it is. Everybody show up here to work day in and day out.
The defense looked specifically really The amount of man you guys are playing, like, do you think that's setting a tone out there, especially with kind of pushing the offense back a little bit, like getting them up against the wall?
Of course. We want to let you know we better than you. We want to let you know every time you line it up, we're going to rock and roll with you.
Also, in the interview with Tyreek, they discussed, the depth chart. The first depth chart came out. That's always your big line. Hey, first depth chart's out. It's like, you get your name in the paper, so to speak. Tyreek still listed as a starting corner opposite Jalen Johnson, but understands that no job is given. Job's got to be taken. He understands that. He's got that mindset right now to continue to compete, and that's critical here. Critical.
Listen, I always thought Tyreek Stevenson was one of the more physical defensive backs on the Bears, but I think he's one of the more physical defensive backs in the league. And if he can continue to learn and develop through Al Harris, the defensive back coach, and the defensive requirements of Dennis Allen, I think that Tyreek Stevenson has got a lot of positives ahead of him for this football team, and he never shies away from contact, and he never will.
How significant will the Dolphin practice, not necessarily the game because we don't know who's going to play and how long, will help put another brick in the road defining the starting left tackle? Braxton Jones is listed first team with the rookie Ozzie Trapillo second.
It's going to be significant because, Braxton Jones has already been there. He's already been through joint practices. He's already played NFL competition now for a couple of years. So he knows the task at hand from the left tackle position and how much of a premium that position is to the success of an offense. But Ozzie Trapillo's a different character, man. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of willingness to create contact and continue to push afterwards. So I think the deciding line may be in the pass protection ability and the athleticism of Ozzie, because that's where he's going to have to be successful in some individual battles. So Ozzie's he's not afraid of playing football, but Braxton has the experience.
Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? Athletico's movement experts are here to help turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery. With no prescription or referral needed, Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Athletico, proud to be the official physical therapy partner of the Chicago Bears. All right, let's switch gears and sit down with Terry Gannon. Tom, give everybody a heads up on who this young man is. Love the conversation, comparing notes in our broadcast careers, but also a significant part of history in college basketball.
Just to give you a little background of Terry and I, we grew up together in Joliet. We both went to St. Ray's. We both went to Joliet Catholic. His dad was the basketball coach when I was growing up. Terry was just absolutely a fantastic basketball player himself growing up, and he went on to the North Carolina State National Championship basketball team led by Jim Valvano. But then making that decision, do I become a coach like my dad or do I become a broadcaster? And he's succeeded beyond anybody's dreams of being a broadcaster. He's been around the world many a times. He's done every sport that you can offer him, like he said, except hockey.
All right, so enjoy the conversation. It goes many different ways, as you might expect, with Tom and I. One of the most versatile sportscasters in America, Terry Gannon. Joliet, born and bred. Thanks for joining us, Terry.
Yeah, great to be with you. And you can't take the Joliet out of the kid. Tommy, I think we still have our pictures like underneath a viaduct somewhere in downtown heading to the east side. It doesn't look great these days. It's been around for a while, but I think they're still up there.
Terry, the other day I was in St. Ray's, the grade school we went to watch my great nephew's basketball game. And in there, they have a booklet of every student that's ever gone to Joliet Catholic or Joliet or St. Ray's every year. And you have to go back there and gravitate towards you and look through the names of the guys and the girls you went to school with. And, a lot of them I can, say them right off the top of my head. But like you said, you never leave Joliet, and going back there and seeing the schools that we went to and grew up in, it's kind of fun to see.
Hey, we all stay in touch too. Mark Grant, who's an announcer, great announcer for the Padres now. We talk all the time, and he comes to LA. We get together and tell Joliet stories, and you'll be happy to know your name comes up often in a good way, Tom.
Well, I think about you and Mark Grant because, you think of St. Ray's and Joliet Catholic and you think of the history that you've had in broadcasting, one of the best, like Jeff said, in the history of broadcasters. Mark Grant, a lifelong broadcaster with the San Diego Padres, and me with the Bears. And when you get three guys basically from the same neighborhood, same high school, but Mark went to St. Jude's, we're super fortunate to be where we are now, but really where we came from.
Oh, there's no question. And we talk about it all the time. I mean, we kind of laugh every time we get together. Can you believe two kids, and we'll include you three, from Joliet are able to do this for a living? And I do feel blessed. And but I meant what I said. It was joking, but I meant you can't take the Joliet out of the kid. And it'll always be home. I've lived in LA now for like 25 years, but I'm a Bears fan. I'm a Bulls fan. I'm a White Sox fan. Yes, my kids grew up going to Dodgers games. And last year, my wife, who watches every pitch of every inning, I don't know who else does this these days, of the Dodgers games, said, just admit you're a Dodgers fan also. I'm like, I can't. I can't. I do go to the games. I'll wear a hat, but I can't admit it. I'm a White Sox guy.
What does Joliet mean? You say you can't take the Joliet out of the kid. What is it you can't take out?
Growing up, especially at that time, it was a blue-collar steel mill city. Caterpillar, you had the steel mill plant, which eventually closed down. But it was that kind of mindset, get up every day, work as hard as you can, have your dream, go after it. And I remember at NC State, so I played basketball at NC State for Jim Valvano, but my first year of college, I also played baseball. I was on the baseball team. Sammy Esposito was the head coach, who was part of the Go-Go Sox, 59, wow, who lost to the Dodgers out here. And one of the great Chicago athletes of all time. You go back and research him. He was a great, great athlete. And he helped recruit me along with Jim Valvano. And he talked about Joliet and exactly that. He said, I look for kids from Joliet because they are tough. Now, I don't know, Tommy, if we are. I don't know. But to me, that's a mindset. And I've always had that along the way because of Joliet.
I think a lot of us are products of our parents. They're blue collar workers and they went to work every day. But so your dad's the basketball coach of our high school and you're a little kid growing up and you go to North Carolina State, part of the national championship team with Jim Valvano. Why broadcasting and not coaching?
Oh, God, I fell into it, Tommy. I hate to admit that, but I was going to coach. I was a grad assistant. I always wanted to coach. Son of a coach, that was my plan. I was on the bench for Jim Valvano. And at that time, I had offers to go play in Europe. And Jefferson Pilot, who broadcast the ACC basketball games at that time, came to me and said, you're pretty good on TV. We've interviewed you a lot. You want to try TV? So I went in and talked to Coach V, and he said, yeah, go, give it a shot. He said, forget the basketball. You're not going to be Walt Frazier. All right, you're good, but you're not. You move on. So he said, but try TV. If you don't like it, you're not any good, you come back, you got a job here as a coach. And so I tried it. And I was a color analyst in basketball to start. Little by little, started to do other sports. I reached out to everybody in North Carolina. The Charlotte Knights were the AAA team for the Indians. I said, you don't have an extra play-by-play guy. Let me do middle innings. Pay me $50 a game. Okay, give me a shot. I went to the morning zoo and said, you don't do sports. They said, no, we don't. I said, well, you should. It's a sports town. Come on, it's Raleigh. You got big time teams here. Let me do sports for you. Pay me $50 a day. Boom, boom, boom. So every job I had basically was $50 a day to start out. And it just kind of morphed into a career. And, you eventually I signed with ABC. You get a call. We need you to go do figure skating next week in Tokyo. Excuse me? Figure skating? And it's that Jim Valvano thing of why not? It's that moment where you go, you're crazy. You know how badly this could go? Or you go, why not? And the same thing with college football and gymnastics and the Olympics. And now I'm with our NBC for a number of years. And, you just keep saying, why not?
And why not back with the NBA on NBC? Congratulations on that. We all grew up around it. I was doing pre- and post-game for the Bulls during Jordan era when NBC was the reigning king of NBA. And you'll be joining Mike Tirico, Noah Eagle as play-by-play guys. Great group right there. How significant is this for you?
Well, it's my roots. It's back to my roots. You know, I did college hoops and then the NBA when I was at ESPN, and now to have this opportunity to do the NBA again, I can't wait for the season to start. And it's back on NBC, with the John Tesh music and everything else. And so we've got our seminar coming up right after the Ryder Cup. Get everybody together at NBC and kick off the season. Reggie Miller, Jamal Crawford, Grant Hill, Austin Rivers, got a great lineup of analysts, goes on and on. Robbie Hummel's going to work with us as well, and it's going to be cool.
How do you keep it all together? Because you're on the Golf Channel, you're covering golf tournaments, you're doing all these other things that come across your desk. Never saying no. Just say yes to everything. I adopted the same philosophy. Just say yes. Sometimes it was a testament to your own guts to do it. In my case and yours, I mean, how do you keep it all together, though? Because it takes a ton of preparation, first and foremost.
As you know, first and foremost, we're fans.
Yeah.
We're sports fans. You know, if we're, for good or bad or otherwise, if we're not working, we're watching sports for the most part. So you stay on top of it that way. And you do stay on top. It's not like you cram for a test right before. Yes, certain games, you get ready for a game, you're cramming for a test. But overall, you stay in touch with it. And the other aspect too, and I think part of it that I think has really helped me is I did experience playing for a national championship on a Monday night with 50 million people watching, crunch time, having to come through down the stretch. And that translates to every sport, no matter what it is: football, basketball, baseball, golf, gymnastics, figure skating, whatever. Having some understanding of what these athletes are going through down the stretch and to perform under pressure. And so it doesn't matter the sport.
Do you get that moment when you get an instinctual feeling of rising to the moment is about to happen?
No question.
Yeah.
And I also never prepare like a winning call or because I want it to hit me. Yeah. I want to feel it. In golf, 16, 17, 18, major championship. I don't want to manufacture anything. I want it to hit me and react in the moment. And then you get done with that and you go have dinner and you think, yeah, that was good. That worked. Or could have done this better or that. We all have regrets, right?
And please.
Just like that, you have regrets on how the game turned out.
First thing I do is get on the blower with Tommy. Damn, I should have said this instead,
Exactly. I mean, it's just like being a player. And look, I still kind of think of myself as a player even after all these years. Even though I didn't play in the NBA, I didn't play at the highest level, I got a taste. And so I think of it that way. That's how I approach every broadcast.
Terry, knowing you your whole life, sometimes I see you on TV and it just blows my mind some of the dignitaries you sit on the stage with and you're interviewing them on TV, whether it's the best of the best in pro golf or political figures or whatever. All right, 2 questions. Have you ever asked for an autograph? Number 1. Number 2, is there the most famous you've ever met?
Oh, God.
The only reason I'm asking this, Terry, yesterday I asked to get a picture with Simone Biles.
Oh, you did?
It's the first time ever, and I was kind of weird about it, but she's such a famous, athlete, and that's what kind of made me think of you.
Yeah. Oh, God, what a thrill calling her Olympics, 2 of them. Tokyo, the whole thing she went through, and with the twisties, we all learned that word in Tokyo, and then coming through in Paris. It was an honor to call her action at the Olympics. But answer your question, I haven't asked for an autograph since Tom Clements in the locker room at Notre Dame back in the 1970s. Okay, that's the last time
Clements.
For an autograph. By the way, from the time I was 5 years old till the time I left for college, when I was 18, going to NC State, my family was at every Notre Dame home football game. Got to know the players from Tommy Clements to Frank Pomerico to the Larry and Jerry DiNardo and down the list. And it started with Pat Mudrin from Tommy.
Joliet Catholic.
Joliet Catholic. There you go. But I do take. I'm with you. I do take some pictures with athletes these days. But most famous would have to be presidents. Barack Obama. President Clinton used to be his foundation used to be a sponsor of one of the tournaments on the PGA Tour. So he not only would come on the air with us, he would spend the entire weekend. So it was great to be able to meet and spend time with him. And President Obama. We were robbed of the opportunity in 1983. President Reagan invited us to the White House. We had an athletic director who did not want to pay for the bus fare and the hotels to send us to the White House after winning the World Championship. So years later, President Obama, who was our era then as a sports fan, invited us to the White House, and we got to go as a team, which was a great thrill.
Let it be noted.
That's so weird because of the reason that the 85 Bears ended up going to the White House is because of the invitation from Obama years after, because they had the space shuttle disaster the day after the Super Bowl, and that kind of derailed our opportunity to go there immediately after the game.
You know what? I kind of remember that. Yeah, exactly. That is, well, we got another thing in common. There you go.
And I'll maintain that you guys appreciated it more then than you maybe would have in 85, because you guys matured. We're in the Rose Garden. I got to go, and there's these great memories of that. We get in, we get out, we go home, but you're in the Rose Garden meeting President Obama. No matter what your politics are, you're meeting the President of the United States on his home turf. And
yeah, exactly.
It's just cool.
Exactly. And you know what? We talked hoops the entire time, which was great.
Oh, yeah, he loves that. Before we continue, good news. Chicago United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. You didn't know that you were going to be a broadcaster, certainly a play-by-play broadcaster or an event broadcaster. I would like to say that's what you are. You do events, tons of them. Do you think you drew inadvertently, osmosis, transistor under the pillow, anything from broadcasters that you enjoyed listening to or watching over the course of your life?
Oh, the sounds of sports have been with me since I have a memory, 3, 4, 5 years old. And on the couch, sitting next to my dad watching, it was 24/7 sports. I mean, whether it's the White Sox, the Cubs, the Bears, the Bulls, golf, Lee Trevino, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, whatever. And we were the Harry Carey era. And for me as a White Sox, Harry was ours. Sorry, Cubs fans, but before. What stayed with me from Harry, go back to it, first and foremost, we're fans.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to be objective in what you're doing. You've got to give the moment its due. You've got to meet the moment. You've got to tell the story. But don't lose sight of the fact that you're a fan and you're talking to fans. You're describing the action for fans. And so you can talk to greats who I've learned from the Al Michaels and the Brent Musburgers, who I've had a chance to work with and certainly learned so much about the business. But at its core, I'll go back to Harry.
You got to match and surpass the passion of the fan base. It's got to be organic. You can't fake it. They know it here in Chicago. It's
well, you're not going to fool the public in Chicago.
We appreciate the listener, every single one, and we keep that in mind first and foremost when we call the game. Wouldn't you agree, Tommy?
Oh, 100%. Out of respect for the fans, because like Terry said, whether you're in Chicago or wherever you are around the world, fans are smart because they have so much more access to either the sport they pay attention to or the topics that are being discussed around the world about the events that Terry's doing or the Bears that you and I get to do. So I think they're a lot more educated, and there's a lot more women are involved in the sports now than when we were kids. You talk about from the WNBA to girls flag football to all their, access into the sport. And they're as passionate of fans as anybody we met as little kids when we are talking about a lot of the guys that we're talking about, which is cool to see that evolution of it.
Tommy, let me give you guys your due, because I'm on the road and I listen to you guys, and what you are and what I try to do, I hope to do in the way I view broadcasting, is I want to bring the fans along as we're all sitting there in the living room watching this and experiencing this together. And it's real and it's raw and it's authentic. and there's nothing manufactured, and let's experience this together. And hopefully, as a broadcaster, I've done my homework enough or have enough knowledge that I can bring forth some information that makes it more interesting and entertaining to the fan. But I want to experience it with them. And that's what you guys do. You're real.
Well, let me ask you about your background. So you're still hold the highest percentage of 3-point shooting at North Carolina State, correct?
Well, technically.
Okay, but this is my question.
Technically, yeah. The line was a little shorter. So,
are you surprised, though, what the 3-point shot is becoming basketball? Because that's kind of like, talk about the evolution of something that has, come new into a sport, whether it's the kickoff return of football or the 3-point shot. Are you, surprised of what's become of that?
I didn't foresee it when it first came in, whether it be college or the NBA, but it totally makes sense. I'm not shocked at how it developed because you had, in my estimation, Steph Curry's the greatest shooter of all time. I hate when people, the latest and greatest they're the GOAT now, whatever. But he and the Warriors, they changed the game, how they played, and you see the NBA especially go in peaks and valleys, and other teams adopt what's working for the best team, and there are trends. This trend obviously is here to stay. They've changed the game entirely, and the 3-point shot has. So I didn't see it initially, but it's here to stay. And I'm not a fan who laments that. I mean, I know some are. I know some don't like that it's developed that way. But it is what it is. This is the game, and it is more spread out these days. And yes, you have the high screener roll, and everybody's trying to figure out how to run that, all the options off of it, how to defend it. And some say, well, it's the same for every team. But if you really pay attention, there are nuances with every team and every coach off of those options that make it different. So I enjoy it. I like what's happening.
What would Jim Valvano think of today's game, both in college and the NBA?
Jim Valvano would just adapt.
Yeah, adapt and overcome, huh?
That's it. Survive and advance, baby.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was his slogan. He came up with that in 1983 as we won ridiculous buzzer beater after buzzer beater. Just survive and advance. It's like Al Davis, just win, baby. What people don't understand about Jimmy V, they know the motivator, they know the SB's speech. I mean, it's a whole, several generations now since then, and I'm still amazed at his legacy and what it is because of the V Foundation and how remembered he is in our team. I'm shocked at that. But he was, after he stepped away from college basketball, he eventually planned to coach in the NBA. And he was going to take a couple of years being assistant coach, learn the NBA, and then go. He was a realist. He never told you anything that you got the sense that, I don't think he really believes it. He was real. And when he told us we were going to win a national championship, well before we had any thought of doing that, you bought into it. And he would have brought that to the NBA. It wasn't just a rah-rah locker room college type thing with Jim Valvano.
Tommy, the little things would make a difference in championships. So let's not minimize taking Clyde Drexler on, taking that fourth foul to seal it, baby. Guess who? Terry Gannon, as a sophomore, wearing number 24, correct?
It was a butt kiss-like tackle. I will admit this years later. And he's still mad about it, by the way, Clyde.
I bet. Hey, listen, you mentioned butt kiss, so I want you to go. You just named all the teams you rooted for as a kid. Your first fall in love with player as a kid for each of those sports here in Chicago. What were they? Who were they?
Norm Van Leer. All right. That feeling when you walked in as a kid, I'll never forget it. When you walked into the Chicago Stadium and you went through the concourse and it was tight and crowded and smoky and hot and then that first glimpse of the floor, it's magic.
Yeah.
And Wrigley as well. I say I'm a Sox fan, but my grandparents would take me and my cousin to Wrigley all the time. And that first glimpse when you turned the corner and you saw the flags up top, you got tingles, you got chills, and that's a feeling that's never left me. But I mean, you know, from Ernie Banks, Dick Allen, I was a big Dick Allen fan back in the day. Loved him, and a little young for Gale Sayers. So I say Sweetness and Tommy Thayer.
There you go. Yeah, can you believe, seriously, as much as you've done, and I throw flowers at Tom all the time. He hates it. He gets real nervous. He starts laughing, giggling like a little kid. He don't want to hear it. But what he's done is amazing. I brought it up to a group the other day, and he accepted it. I mean, you're talking about 4 decades of impact on the Bears organization as a player and a broadcaster. Beloved in both categories. Part of the best offensive line ever. A champion. But, you know, you grew up with a kid, and he goes in the huddle in 1985 at training camp, and he's looking at Walter Payton. Like, you know, he's like a little kid. But not only that, he had lost 1 game at Joliet Catholic in his football life. He goes to Notre Dame. He's coached at the professional level by George Allen, Mike Ditka, and Don Shula. What?
Yep.
I mean, think of
too, right now.
Who?
1 year?
No, I transferred to the Arizona team when Marv Levy came over and coached the Chicago Blitz, who I think turned 100 yesterday.
Yeah, 100.
Yes.
What a legend that guy is as well.
We went to some of those games. I came up and saw you with the Blitz number of times.
Yep.
That was great. Now, can I just one thing? We'll talk about Tom like he's not here.
That'd be great.
Here's the thing with all of that impact as a player, as a broadcaster through the years, this man's never changed. He's the same today as when we were growing up in Joliet at St. Ray's. Absolutely the same, which is not many people can say that, but that is absolutely the truth.
Yeah, he's a very compassionate person. He'll give you the shirt off his back, but he has some certain demands that must be met. You got to be on time. If you're late, he's going to be angry. He doesn't want to sit in traffic. If you make the wrong turn, you're in big trouble. And, you know, don't lie to him. I'm watching practice. We were at Soldier Field on Sunday for Fan Fest. It was awesome. But he notices everything. Nothing gets by Tom. Ask hey, why are you limping? And there's this meek grin on the face of the individual, like, how would you even know this? But, you know, the slightest thing. I don't know. You got eyes for an analyst, that's for sure. You really know where to take your eyes, Tommy. You are trained that way. I don't know how. I don't know why, but you were trained well.
I've been around one sport my whole life. Terry's been around 1,000 sports. And I'm only going to ask you one more question because I asked you this years ago, and you said that the Tour de France is one of your favorite events to do. Is that still the same? Has something come up that has taken that place, or is Tour de France still one of your favorites?
Well, it's just the most amazing event I've ever been around. It's like setting up. You guys know what it's like for a Super Bowl, you know, the compound in all the TV trucks and all the media and everything else. They do this for 3 weeks straight and move it every day. There's a start line, huge compound and party, the Village Depart, where you can go in and get croissants and espresso and cappuccinos, and the riders come in on their bike and they sit there and they'll have an espresso with you and talk. And then you drive the route ahead of the peloton. You get to the finish line, and there's a huge compound set up there at the finish, and then they pick it up and move every day for 21 days all over France. It's just it blows your mind what they do. But the Olympics are special. I mean, it's and Paris was. I thought London was my favorite Olympics. Paris was even better because we had a couple of COVID Olympics where we didn't have fans, and then, you know, everybody wants to go to Paris and experience it, and it was incredible. The Olympics might match that in terms of my favorite event to do, but in terms of golf, we just had it. The Open Championship is my favorite. It's just it's on land where they've played for, you know, hundreds of years, and the sheep created the first bunkers to get out of the wind, and the RNA. You know, so many tournaments where they'll give you on the PGA Tour, they'll give you a sheet, and the first cut of rough is so many millimeters, and the primary cut of rough is so many inches, and the green speeds or whatever. And you go do the Open Championship, and the RNA says, I don't know. If it rains, it'll be soft. If it doesn't, it'll be fast. We'll see what God has in mind. And I love the organic element of the Open.
When you choose a Blue Moon, everything becomes brighter, just like the scoreboard after a Bears touchdown. Blue Moon, made brighter, and a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. Here is the vast array of sports this man has broadcast. Certainly the big ones. We're talking about pro golf, NBA, but, WNBA, horse racing, tennis, beach volleyball, skiing, supercross, motorcycle racing, mountain biking, college football on ABC, Little League World Series, the figure skating. I probably missed a couple. I don't see hockey on the list. Have you ever called a hockey game?
You're exactly right. I have never called a hockey game, and I think it would be hard as hell. Sean McDonough's of the world, I have unbelievable respect for what they do. That's got to be so hard. So I don't think I'll have that opportunity anytime soon. You can cross that one off.
You never know, because guess what? If they ask, what are you going to say? Yes.
Why not?
Why not?
Somebody's got to do it. Why not me?
First Bears game, or did you ever go to a Bears game as a kid?
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't remember the first Bears game. I mean, Soldier Field looked quite a bit different when I went, put it that way.
Yeah.
It would have been the pre Walter Payton, Tommy Thayer years as a little kid growing up. But we went to a handful because we were busy in South Bend every week. Once football season got there, going to those games.
What, if any, information do you have on the current Chicago Bears? Any thoughts?
So defense, I want to ask you guys. I'm going to pick your brain. So here's the deal. Still a big Bears fan. My son, I've got a son and a daughter. They're in their 20s. They both graduated from USC. Sorry about that, Tommy and the Irish.
Right.
I know. Can you believe it? And my son, even though he grew up here in LA, he is a huge Bears fan. So he and I communicate about the Bears all the time. So he listened to your podcast. He listened to every Bears podcast. He's all over it, whatever. So I understand the defense dominated, right? Is that in part because it takes longer for the offense and a new system, a new playbook and everything else, a new offense? Look, I'm really excited about this year. I don't want to get overhyped, but I think you throw out last year in terms of Caleb and everything. It's a new coach. It's a new system. You got new personnel. I'm really excited about this year. So,
to analogize football, Terry, it'd be like me telling you that you're going to move to France in 3 months. You have to speak the language fluently and understand what's being said to you in order to really master the terminology of a new NFL offense. So I don't think people really understand football patience, because they don't know what it takes to really master the language. And now every time Caleb goes in the huddle, he's calling 2 plays. And now you got to know what that means to the other 10 guys in the huddle. Then if the defense doesn't do what you're expecting of them and you have to go to the second play called, now you got to make sure you know what exactly you said, and everybody has to know their job as Caleb's given the alert. So it's the difficulty of mastering football terminology is a year's process, not a week's process.
So you think it'll take, by game 3 or game 4, do you think that people will stop talking about last year?
Well, I've already kind of vented about my frustration about talking about last year. I think it's completely irrelevant to talk about last year because it has nothing to do with this year and moving forward. I think by the first regular season game, you're going to start seeing the plan come together. And then each week you're going to see incremental improvements and a little bit more diabolical scheming by Ben Johnson. And then all of a sudden you're going to see the 5th week of the season, they have a bye week, and then you're going to see this thing hit the ground running. So again, you got to have patience, especially nowadays. You get to go to the practices day to day, especially the media, and they get to report on every play, whether it's good or bad. And so sometimes you're not painting the most positive picture, but you have to understand really what you're learning and what that learning curve is on an everyday process.
Are you as excited as I am about this season? Because I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with Eric Kramer. I said, this is it. This season, 4,000 yards. What is the mid 1995 or whatever?
He's hanging out of that record, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I said, it's going down this year.
Well, I'll tell you this much. if you had the opportunity to meet Ben Johnson, you'd be completely blown away. He is all things written, said, analyzed about. He is something else. He had his own special teams coach, Richard Hightower, today, talking about some of the great coaches he's worked with, and that this guy is, trust me, I know what a good head coach looks like. He's just, he's got a lot of great qualities, man, that when you add them up is going to lead to good things. When, how, in what manner, that's yet to be determined. That's the beauty of sports, that's for sure.
How about the defense? I know the defensive line changed. How about the secondary? Is that still competitive?
They get everybody jacked up. They got the juice.
I think their defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, is a super creative guy. And when you watch them practice this past Sunday in Soldier Field against the Bears offense, you kind of get an understanding why defense is always a snap ahead of a new offense in that process of being put in. So I'm excited about the changes that they've made and what we're going to see out of this defense early in the season.
Am I getting ahead of myself? 8-9 I know the schedule's really tough. I get it, but 8-9 wins maybe. And I got to get my son. We're coming to a game. Maybe I think Packers on December 20th. Am I right about that?
Yes, late in the season. Yep. I don't have it memorized, but yep, that'll be a big one.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So
look at how he turned this. See, this is the veteran announcer. Now he's interviewing us.
Yes.
This was awesome. Pleasure to meet you, number one, and thank you for taking the time. I know you have very little of it to spread around, but you're spreading it around well. You're outstanding at what you do, and hats off to Joliet for the blue-collar work ethic for both of these guys, Tom Thayer and Terry Gannon. Thank you, Terry. Good luck on NBC with the NBA. It's back.
It's back. Go ahead. Do the theme song. Can you do it? Hey, guys, thanks for having me. I really love to be in with you guys. And I can't wait for the season to start. We'll be watching from wherever I am around the country or the globe and cheering for the Bears. Bear down and go St. Ray's, go Catholic High, Tommy.
That's right, Terry. Thanks. And let us know when you come in for that Bear game, and so we can get together and get a little FaceTime.
For sure.
Tom, what strikes me is about your passion for Joliet and your love of that city. Anybody who comes from there that I have ever met that you have introduced me to, you know, they almost, you close your eyes and you can see the same people. And I think that's cool. It's a cool angle of the story. So many great athletes have come out of Joliet. I'm sure many other walks of life have as well. But the athletes are what we are talking about. And he was one of them, man. And he does a great job on everything he does. I really appreciated that conversation.
Yeah, the work ethic from Joliet people is understandable because you look at the businesses that surround our area, whether it's the prisons or the steel mill or the brickyards or the railroad or the canal, whatever line of work our families are from, it's a blue-collar background. My dad worked for Commonwealth Edison for 43 years, climbing telephone poles and working outdoors every day of his life. So we all have a little bit of that instilled in our souls.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffel's a proud partner of the Chicago Bears and now open in Orland Park. Steinhoffel's is Chicagoland's furniture and mattress leader with the largest selection to fit every style and budget and is 100% employee-owned. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. One last preview before we wrap up of what you're anticipating with the arrival of the Miami Dolphins at practice on Friday at Hallis Hall. Fans are going to get to enjoy all of that with Tua and Tyreek and the whole gang, so it'll be fun to watch. What are you looking for?
You know, just that the Bears make the Miami Dolphins come up to their practice effort and don't come down to what the Dolphins have been doing in their training camp. And I think that was one of the biggest preach points ever by Ditka every single time we had a combined practice. You do not go down to their level. You make them come up to our level.
All right, that's going to wrap things up. Thanks again to our guest sportscaster, Terry Gannon. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.